That's the asphalt.
Half the price than the other two.
I'm not sure what the difference is. I mean, they're bidding the same material. It really comes down to where the contractors put their money. They could have moved it to the flex base. I mean, the other two, I think part of it is the other two were substantially more expensive. So I think they just put more money in the hot mix. I'm not sure what.
Site preparation as well.
Site preparation, I'm not sure. These bidders may not have driven the road in reality. I know Wagner, I've walked the street with Wagner at 2 different occasions, so he knows what he's getting into. I don't know, the other two didn't show up to the pre-bids, so they may have never seen the project except for one thing.
They might have shot that for a bit.
It's a very small project, and that's why it's hard to get bidders to look at it.
Yeah. Good. All in favor? All three. Item number 10, discuss and possible action regarding the approval of a development agreement between the City of Elmendorf and D.R. Horton related to the Hickory Ridge subdivision.
Okay. We are not at a point to be able to vote on it. We've still been negotiating the finer points on it. Haven't been able to come up with a consensus between us and the developers. So I'm going to recommend that we table this for this month. However, what we plan to do at the same time, and I think we still can under this item, because the water project is part of the part on that land, and it plays a role in the agreement of the leases and so forth. And I'd like to have Gary brief you on where we're at on the water project. And there's a couple of questions that you have.
So we have one little piece of bad news and some pretty good, really good news. I'll give you the bad news first. Well, we had 4 wells in our project. All 4 pilot holes have been drilled. The well number 11, the furthest away from, our closest to 181, furthest away from our production facility, we didn't hit the sand that we needed. So it's not a producing well, so we've capped that well. Now, that's the bad news. We'll talk good news now. Well number 10, they fully developed. The casing is in. It's been cemented in accordance with TCP requirements. They placed the pump in earlier this week, or I think it was actually on Friday. Earlier this week, they've been pumping it. It looks like, so in our original documents, we were estimating between 250 and 300 gallons per minute. This well, we think, is going to be in the 500 to 550 gallons per minute range. So, told you the bad news, but the good news is, with 3 wells, we can produce more water than we could have with 4 wells at 250. That brings in the next point. We've been negotiating this developer's agreement, and we know that at some point the city's going to need more water. So we asked D.R. Horton and their development engineer to look at their site and say, are there other locations that we could drill a well at some point in the future, not in part of this project, but some point in the future? Well, during all of that, we've been looking at sites. Then well number 11 didn't hit. So we said, well, could we move to one of those sites now and develop it? So we've been working through that thought process and getting costs together and all of that. But then well 10 came in better than what we think, and we think the other 2 are going to be in similar condition. My recommendation at this point is, now that we have wells that are going to produce more water than what we planned, we have to put in bigger pumps than what we planned. So that's more money. Which is a good thing because you're producing more water, but it's still more money. So one thing that we could do, and I think my recommendation at this point would be not to drill a 4th well, but use the money that we would have used on the 4th well to buy the bigger pumps and do the work to fully develop these 3 wells to as much as we can possibly do.
What we would have done for the 4th well is pull roughly $66,000 out of our contingency budget on that to do the pilot hole on the next well. So instead of spending that money there, we can turn around and spend it developing these wells to a higher capacity and still come out.
Does that still meet the US,
The Texas Water Development.
Texas Water Development?
So we're not,
Does it meet their,
we're not spending any more money, so they're fine with that. It's just, it would be a change order to go to the bigger pump, but they fully understand that they understand that you want to develop as much water as you can, and if we can do it with 3 wells instead of 4, they would be for that. The other thing is, in their land plan that we've been talking to DR Horton about, there's 2 new well locations. So at some point, it may be 25 years from now, when you need to drill another well, we have 2 locations that are in the land plan, they're on paper, that you could go. So if we drilled the 4th well now, at some point in the future, you would have to mobilize all this equipment again to come drill 1. So to me, it makes more sense to spend that money on the 3, fully develop them, and then to mobilize in to drill 2 new wells at some point in the future whenever you need it. And I think that's the plan that I would recommend at this point. Is, let's fully develop the wells that we have. And, so good news. I mean, it's the wells are producing, at least number 10 is producing substantially more than what we expected.
So the reason why this is important to the item that's on the agenda, even though we're not discussing the contract itself, and I don't want y'all to think that there's anything bad going on, it's just, we're just not ready. That's really the bottom line, because we've had some developments like this. There's some, obviously there's a lot of moving parts on this, and so we were even in discussion as early or as late as 11:45 today about this, and just felt like it was best to wait till we got a couple of things locked down. But this is important because obviously, we have the lease with regard to the property that we have with the current owners of the property, so that's being tied into this development agreement. So we don't really need any action from council regarding this item because y'all have already given the approval, and we just really like to hear what you think about, would we rather do the 3 with the bigger, or do you want to move forward with doing the 4? Just kind of get your take on it, so we can, right, so then we can incorporate it in whatever agreement is going to finally come up to the council.
So, you've only done, well, 10.
That's correct.
You
Well,
haven't done the other 2.
the other 2, the pilot holes are drilled, and we have geophysical logs on those 2 wells that show that the sand is there that produces water, that holds the water. So they'll start fully developing well 8. The rig's supposed to be set up tomorrow, and they'll probably start working over the weekend on that one. So we'll know soon, but everything we've seen so far shows that they'll be producing similar to well 10. So we're comfortable with that. One thing that is another consideration, now that we have better producing wells than what we anticipated, you don't necessarily need that water today. So you would have all this equipment setting in a well that we can use the wells, but we may only pump them once a week and then move to the next well, pump that one for a while. And you want to exercise your equipment, but the more wells you have, the more money in operation and maintenance. So I think it makes more sense to put bigger pumps in and have less pumps to maintain.
hold on.
I agree with that recommendation.
I agree. I mean, when you say that those are really the 500 to 550, 23 sounds good.
And we should know within the next week on well 8, they should have the casing set, so we'll know what that looks like. And if anything changes, we'll come back to you. But we want to be able to give some direction to the well drillers if they can take the rig. They have a smaller rig that's drilling the pilot holes, and they have another job that they need to go service if we're not going to drill all holes here. So we don't want them wasting time on money.
So if something comes up, on one of the last 2 wells that get fully developed, it comes out that, oh no, we're wrong, we'll come back to you. But for this point, moving forward, we'll move with the idea in gearing this to developing a great air capacity.
When you said that there was 66,000 to develop the wells to higher capacity?
That would just be drilling the pilot hole on the new location for well 11. So that we we've drilled one pilot hole for well 11 and it didn't hit. So we're moving further into the ranch there. So we've already spent the money on the pilot hole there, so we'd have to spend more money to drill another pilot hole. So we save that money if we don't.
And that will essentially equal what?
It'll offset the cost of the bigger pumps. Right.
And the other offset is, we have, the fourth pump is already in our well supply contract. So we're not going to buy that fourth well, so we'll have money left over at the end of the project, the well project, because it's about $330,000 per well total. So if we only develop 3 wells, we'll have money to put into more. We have to have bigger motor control centers for the pumps and bigger pumps. And bigger generators for backup power also. Which is a good problem to have. At least we're not talking about smaller pumps.
Well 10, you said is 500 to 550 produced.
Wait, they have a pump headed from Houston right now that will pump 575 gallons per minute, and it should be set up tomorrow. So they put a pump in there that pumped 375, and from the calculations we've ran on drawdown, it ran for 12 hours, and they gave us that data, and it looks like 550, somewhere around 550 is the number that we can develop.
The other 2 wells, you said number 8, what was the other one?
8 and 9.
Have the first pilot holes been done?
Yes, the pilot hole is there.
Have we extracted anything out of there to see any numbers at all?
No, there hasn't been any pump put in those. It's just an 8-inch pilot hole. They'll come in and ream an 18-inch hole to set the casing. But we
did do the geo.
We did the geophysical log, and the same level of sand, the same dimension of sand is in those wells as in well 10. So all the data points towards they're
The
going to
physical
produce.
profile of the shaft is exactly the same, or roughly the same as
Number 10.
number
Yeah.
10.
So we're confident that it's going to be the same characteristics for it.
And I see the table, that's my recommendation, that's something else.
We don't really need a motion, because nothing's final yet, we just kind of wanted to get an idea.
That way we can continue gearing the negotiations that way.
Right.
And then again, if something changes, we'll let you know.
And we're trying to have a meeting Monday for the development agreement, so hopefully that turns around.
Sounds good. Item number 11, discuss a possible action regarding ordinance 9-19-2019-2, amending the code of ordinances by amending chapter 34, traffic and vehicles by amending section 34-23, use required exceptions, and amending sections 34, 24, designated sides and markings, designations of alternate routes, prohibiting commercial traffic on Old Corpus Christi Road from West 1st Street, Loop 1604 access ramp, providing for the repeal of any conflicting ordinance or portion of an ordinance, and providing an effective date. I'll let you speak on that one, and then I'll go.
Y'all probably remember this stems from the agenda item 2 months ago. Y'all had wanted this item on last month's agenda. I had reached out to Alamo Junction to let them know that it was going to be on the agenda, and was asked if we could hold it for this month while they could, so that they could come in and speak to y'all. I spoke with Ryan Lovell. This is Mr. Lovell here from Alamo Junction. He's coming from Houston to talk to y'all about this, and that's kind of where we're at.
Sir, I'll let you go ahead and speak.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm Ryan Lovell, National Property Holders Developer of Alamo Junction Rail Park. Thank you for your time. Glad to be out of the rain. We had 3 to 4 feet of rain in Houston when I left, so be appreciative you don't have any of that storm here. I just really wanted to speak to, I guess, the proposed ordinance in terms of diverting commercial traffic. Given the state of the business in the industry right now, I would ask that at the very least you table the consideration for perhaps take it off the table altogether and allow me to work with city staff and yourselves in terms of finding a permanent solution. Just to give you a little bit of background information right now, Alamo Junction was built much like the other rail parks in the area based on the frac sand industry and importing frac sand out of the northern United States down into the Eagle Ford Basin for drilling. There's been 19 in-basin frac sand mines that have opened up or been announced in Texas since the opening of our project. And so the import of rail sand or frac sand via rail has all been tied. Shale Support Services in connection with Southend is in bankruptcy. Mission Rail Park in the east is now for sale. Emerge Energy, which is Superior Silica Sands in our park, is in bankruptcy. And just this past month, we terminated 2 leases with Modern Material Services, which is also Aero Services, and as a result of failure to pay their leases. So the state of the market is not good. We're doing everything we can. We have every intention to continue operating this facility. In fact, we'd like to invest and remarket it more as a manufacturing type park and be less dependent upon frac sand. One of the challenges we're finding in talking with economic development folks and people searching for sites is that there's no wastewater services available, no sanitary sewer. We've lost several projects to neighboring communities and other sites just because of the fact we can't offer wastewater. We've talked with Sauls, they don't have a solution available without upgrading multiple stations and lines along the way. Our engineers have recently spoken with Cody about the city's plans to operate wastewater facilities locally. We have a study from our engineer, Peyton Dawson out of San Antonio, that's $1.5 million to $3 million investment on our part to get that and distribute it within our park. But that's something that we're seriously considering in order to lure more businesses to the area. We're talking with several groups like building material companies and things like that that are interested in putting up facilities, 40 acres, things like that, couple 100,000 square feet, lots of inventory. So anyways, I guess in summary, the diversion of commercial traffic from our standpoint is just one more blow to the park in terms of us being able to attract businesses to the area. I understand that there are some deficiencies in the pavement. Just going back in terms of the history with the 380 agreement, we did commit to doing an overlay. We did, per our consultant's recommendations, we did borings of Old Corpus Christi Road in 3 locations at the intervals specified by TxDOT's requirements. And per that, those borings and recommendation of our engineers, we came up with an agreed to with the city's engineers lifespan and pavement overlay section. And we completed that work to the best of our knowledge and to the best of what we thought the section of roadway was. As it turns out, subsequent testing and results show that the road was inconsistent and subgrade, and so therefore there are some failures that are happening that basically nobody could have foreseen without additional information at the time. So as you noted on previous agenda items, roadway improvements are expensive. I think to go from West 1st Street to FM 327, our estimates right now are about $350,000 to go in and tear out the entire roadway, put in 12 inches of subgrade, and go back over with hot mix asphalt. So, perhaps there's other means of coming in and doing some spot repairs and things like that in the interim. But I'm really here just to ask that you reconsider the ordinance for now until we can perhaps work out some other solutions while we look to invest not only back in the city and the street, but also into the sewer system and lure more businesses to the area, which is to the benefit of both parties. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Tracy?
I mean, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is, so we are having an issue with the old Christie Road where it is right now. And so if we continue allowing for the big trucks to use our other roads that aren't on the 380 agreement, essentially, they're gonna, I feel like they're gonna tear the roads sooner, but we'll be responsible for those ultimately. And I think that that's where we're at in trying
I would say the truck volumes that were anticipated from the initial development in 2014 have never been realized by any means. And to the point that I just made, with business falling off, tenants leaving, volumes are actually dropping from where they were. I know that doesn't do anything to prepare the road that the state's in. But, I would ask that you at least postpone or table the item, allow me to work with Cody. Maybe we can go in and identify a couple of the really bad problematic areas. Go in and try and do, we've done some other spot repairs in conjunction with the city. The problem is every time we do a spot repair, the area next to it fails. And it's just the snowball effect. But, we're invested in this community. We want to do a good job. We want to continue to be here. We're doing everything we can to basically make ends meet right now and bring new businesses in place of those that are leaving. So I'd ask for your assistance and perhaps some time to work through these issues.
My observation is that you have a good expansion from one end to the other end, exit end on the other side. That road, and it just as good as, that's what you build. Why would it take you?
Internal to the park? Is that what you're supposed to do?
In other words, your park backs all the way to Richter Road, and that bridgeway or whatever road it is that penetrates that way.
See, we built that road from scratch. So we were able to come in and do the subgrade the way it was supposed to be designed with the asphalt. It's a brand new road. The problem with Old Corpus Christi was what we had worked out with the city was, the city had asked for was an overlay. And so we came in with approximately 2-inch overlay. But what that doesn't do, that doesn't aid, that doesn't do anything to treat if there's a failure to subgrade. What we found out subsequently testing in some areas, the subgrade where it should have been like 11 or 12 inches was only 5 or 6 inches when it was originally built. And those were conditions that were unknown to us at the time. Unless we went and bored every 10 feet, we would have never known those conditions existed. We thought the road would be more consistently built. So they were really unforeseen conditions. We did our obligation, not to say that that fixed the problem, because it obviously didn't. But there was no mountain for sure. I mean, we feel that we did what we were obligated to do. We continue to like to work with the city and
promise,
this investment.
promise us something. You can't have this over and over.
Well, what I'd like to do is ask that you table or postpone the agenda item and allow me to work perhaps with Cody and the city engineer and allow us to go in and identify perhaps the really bad areas and see what we can do as far as a timetable and address that back with you again.
So,
Council, if I may, I mean, we have been, as Mr. Lovell pointed out, we have been in talks with them, the engineers, and a couple of potential clients or purchasers about the wastewater. And so there's a real good opportunity that we can bring that additional business into the park and into the city, which then at that point may give Alamo Junction as a whole the boost to be able to maybe address this a little more thoroughly. But